This meeting will assemble. We'll kick off our day here at beautiful Auto Club Speedway. So, got some special guests to start off the day here. To my far right, we have Michael Moy, who is the Director of Marketing, Jansen. He's sitting next to Mr. Brian Vickers, who's driving the number 14 Jansen Arnie's Army Charitable Foundation Chevrolet this weekend. I'm glad to have you here, Brian. And then we also have to my direct right, Mr. Mark Jablonski, who's the founder of the National Blood Clot Alliance and is also obviously a member of the board there. So we will start with you?
Yes.
We'll start with Michael. Michael, tell us what you're doing here, and obviously it's great to have you at this event and all of the great things you're doing. So tell us a little bit about what you got cooking here with Brian.
Yeah, thanks, David. It is our third year working on this project, and we have been continually overwhelmed by the response from the NASCAR fan base, telling us their stories about blood clots, how it's impacted their lives. And it is a scary, scary stat that more people will die in the U.S. in 1 year in blood clots, with blood clots, than HIV, breast cancer, and traffic accidents all put together. So that kind of stat is what just constantly reminds us how important it is to get the word out. So it's been 3 years now here at Auto Club. It's great, fantastic partners with Auto Club Speedway. This all lines up with the TreatMyClot.com 300 tomorrow, and March, which is Blood Clot Awareness Month. And so we're rallying around Blood Clot Awareness Month. We're also very honored to be partnered with the National Blood Clot Alliance. They are a fantastic organization. We'll be making a charitable donation in order to help fund more resources and more education around the space. And so finally, it's a real honor to be sitting next to this guy. Brian Vickers has been now a longtime partner with us in getting this word out. Really awesome to have him in this 14 Jansen Arnie's Army Charitable Foundation Chevrolet. I had an opportunity to be out at Mr. Palmer's tour event yesterday in Orlando, and we've got a replica of this 14 car sitting right off the 9th fairway at Mr. Palmer's PGA event. And so that was really cool to see just another mechanism, to have a race car at a golf tournament, but all around raising awareness for all these great causes. So I'll turn it over to our longtime partner and friend, Brian Vickers.
Well, thank you, Michael. So, gosh, I feel like just a year ago I was sitting here giving you a different message. It's unfortunate. As many of you know, I've had my fair share of issues with blood clots, but it's led me to some great opportunities, and the opportunity to partner with both of these gentlemen and to help raise awareness on blood clots, something that's very, very close to my heart, something that means a lot to me. And those stats that Michael just told you are just, I think, overwhelming. I don't think people really I know I didn't think about blood clots to the extent that it is an issue. It's kind of this untalked about, unheard of kind of issue that's floating out there, and it's a really big issue. I mean, the fact that someone dies every 5 minutes of a blood clot, the fact that more people die from blood clots than car accidents, breast cancer, and HIV combined. And the amount of funding that goes towards this is so much less than those other causes, particularly from the government, is astounding. So it's people like this, Jansen and the National Blood Clot Alliance that really make a difference in this space. So I'm very proud to be a part of this. I can't wait to get back out there in the car and redeem ourselves from last year. I felt like we had a chance to win this race last year, and unfortunately wasn't able to race. But we're back again this year in a great car. Just really thankful for everyone at Stewart Haas Racing giving me the opportunity to be the number 14. Obviously, as many of you know, I've already said this. I hate that Tony's at home. And I wish him a quick recovery. I've been there, but happy to be in the car. And the opportunity to partner with Arnie's Army Foundation is pretty cool. I've been very fortunate to get to know Mr. Palmer for some time now through this partnership. What an outstanding guy. Just an amazing guy, what his foundation has done for so many years. And the opportunity to have it on the car is pretty cool. Needless to say, very special. So, really, really pumped about this weekend to have Jansen and Arnie's Army Foundation on the car. And what we can do there to help raise awareness to these issues and help, I think most importantly, as we've said many times, to encourage people to go see their doctor if they think something's wrong and find out kind of what's right for them. It is important, just going back to those stats, every 5 minutes someone dies from a blood clot. So I can't stress enough how important it is to raise awareness about this. And the treatmyclot.com 300 tomorrow is what that's about. And this partnership as well.
Mark?
So thank you. Everybody, I want you to look at that grandstand when you walk out today, and that empty grandstand. What we're talking about, the numbers here, we're talking about filling that grandstand almost 2 times over with the people who are going to lose their battle with blood clots, with deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism. And the true tragedy is that doesn't have to happen. Young people that I know of, 23-year-old Anna Frutiger, trying to follow in her mother's footsteps to be a dentist. Her blood clot gets misdiagnosed and she winds up dying from a pulmonary embolism. And story after story like that, it's just tragic. The tragedy is double because what we're doing here today, together, this weekend, building awareness of how to prevent, awareness of early diagnosis, and awareness of treatment. What we're doing here today is the way to save lives. It is going to save lives. That's our mission. That's the mission of the National Blood Clot Alliance, and that's the mission that you're on. We can't thank Jansen enough for the donation they're making, because it goes right to building awareness. And again, awareness is going to save lives. Brian for lending his voice to this issue, having the courage to do that. A premier athlete within his field, of being able to do that, have the courage to do that. And of course, the Auto Club Speedway and sponsoring the treatmyclot.com 300 tomorrow, and the entire NASCAR community. What you're doing today, when we walk out of here today, you know what, we're going to fill those stands with the survivors, with the people that we're going to save today. And it's going to be a different future. Those stands aren't going to be empty. They're going to be full of the people that we're starting to save through just these efforts today. And we thank you for it.
Well, kick back a question to Mr. Vickers, because you got to reflect back to last year, and I'm sure that you have mixed emotions even sitting here today. I was hoping you could share with our media a little bit of your feelings and what it was like last year, and how you feel getting into the car.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm glad I made it to the stage this time in a fire suit. It's been a challenging 5-6 years for me, as many of you know, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. In a weird way, I'm very thankful for those experiences. I've grown a lot as a person, and a lot of good things have come from it. And I think the opportunity to raise awareness, if we discussed up here on an issue that's, I was lucky to win my battle with blood clots. And many people are not. The first time I went in, I was misdiagnosed as well. They thought I had pneumonia, and I was taking antibiotics. Luckily, I stuck around to find out that wasn't the case, because that would have been really bad if I'd left the hospital. So, I understand exactly, very, very much so what he's talking about, and it's a serious issue. It's interesting. When it first happened to me, I had so many people, so many fans and crew members and truck drivers, that came up to me and said, yeah, I've had blood clots, or I have blood clots, or, I'm on this medication or that. And it's interesting, that story just kind of keeps coming to me, but I didn't know a single person before before I had my first blood clot that had blood clots. And then all of a sudden I had my first blood clot, and I knew all these people that had blood clots. They just never told me. No one ever really talked about it. It was so interesting. And now I feel like because of what we've done here, what we've been doing for the last 3 years, more and more people are talking about it. More and more people are discussing it amongst themselves and with other people, and it really does make a difference. So I'm really proud of that. For me, being back here 1 year later, I when I came back, when I was sitting here a year ago, I've never been the kind of guy to give up, and by no means was I giving up then, but I certainly didn't think I'd be sitting here a year later. I wasn't sure what the future held. Because I was aware of the signs and symptoms, I did catch my blood clot early, and I didn't feel at all that my life was in danger. But I wasn't so sure about my racing career. I knew that through the help of a lot of great doctors, I felt confident I was going to be able to find a solution. But then the next question was, would I find a team and a winning team willing to take, to put me back in a car? And unfortunately, I ended up back in a great car. Not the circumstances I wanted to get here, but that opportunity did present itself, and I was able to jump on it. So for that, I'm very thankful. And it was an interesting feeling walking back into this media center. I think walking back into Daytona was an interesting feeling, and it really hit me today walking into here. Because this desk and this room has a whole nother meaning that even Daytona doesn't for me.
Okay, we'll take questions from the media. We'll start with Jerry, and then we'll go to Kenny, and then to Mike Hembry.
Jerry Jordan, Performance Racing Network, and Kicking the Tires. Brian, you talk about coming back and being in the car here. What is your future schedule for racing in the Sprint Cup Series?
Well, I think practice is next, and then qualifying.
Sounds like the guy from
I'm really thinking long
basketball
term. I just want to get through tomorrow. To be honest with you, I mean, the only thing I do know is I'm going to have a weekend off next weekend, which I'm kind of really enjoying the schedule. I don't know if NASCAR's up to changes, but I'm loving the weekend off, weekend on thing. That's been it's been very relaxing, very fun. I get to race, but I also get some time off, and I'm going to get it again with Easter weekend. But as right now, it's going to be in Martinsville. In the Jansen Arnie's Army Foundation car again. So really pumped about that to kind of continue that forward. And then we're just we're figuring out everything from there. As you know, nothing's really changed. I think everyone's really just kind of waiting to see how Tony shakes out. And as much as I can genuinely and honestly say this, as much as I want to race this car as long as I can because it's a great team and a great car and a great opportunity, I really want to see Tony back in it because I've been in his shoes. I know exactly what it's like. It's his last season. He deserves to be in this car as much as he can be. So I'm honored to race it as long as I need to and as long as I can. But I'm happy to turn the keys back over as soon as he's ready.
Okay, Kenny, and then over to Mike Hembry.
Brian, when you were first diagnosed with this years ago, what did you think your future in racing was going to be like? I mean, did you think it was going to be, hey, we're going to take care of this, I'll be back in the car, and we'll never deal with it again? Or did you think, no, it's going to be a progression?
I think I thought a lot of things at different times. When I first walked in the hospital, I thought I had pneumonia. They had me convinced. I'd never even heard of a blood clot, and then I realized I found out I had a blood clot, and my comment, I believe, to the doctor was, that's great. Let's get this solved because I've got to be at practice in Dover on Friday. And this was like on Wednesday or Thursday, and I mean, again, it was just a lack of understanding, and just kind of reiterating that's what this campaign's about, is helping not only the patients and the fans out there understand what this is, but even some of the doctors. I mean, the doctors, it's an underdiagnosed issue and underthought about issue. But, and then he said, no, I don't think you understand. This is a longer term problem. I said, well, that's okay. Well, I can miss practice in qualifying, but I've got to be on the track Sunday. And then that's when he really sit me down. He's like, no. At first it was like, okay, you're going to be out for a while. And then we got to understand what caused this, and then we can kind of figure out what's next. So then it went from like I need to be on the track 2 days from now to I may not be on the track for 6 months or ever. And that was kind of hard to kind of grasp. And then, as I started working through that and trying to, work with my doctors to find out the right solution for me at the time, it was a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts about what the future of my racing career was going to look like if it was going to exist at all. And then when I went back racing, we felt like we found the solution, we felt like we found the problem, and we moved forward. And I raced for several years without a problem. And I raced. I took the opportunity to race all over the world. I raced Le Mans. I raced in NASCAR, partnered with Mark Martin. It was wonderful. It was a great couple of years, honestly. Had the opportunity to partner with Jansen and help start raising awareness. And then the kind of issue kind of popped up again. And then every time, every situation, it was very much like I think keep my mind open to all possibilities that I could race again forever, or I may never race again, and everything in between. But I certainly wasn't going to give up. I also wasn't going to make a poor decision either. I very much was going to listen to my doctors every step of the way. And if they felt comfortable with me getting back in a car and I felt comfortable being in the car, that's what I was going to do. If they didn't feel comfortable with me being in the car, then that's fine. It is what I was very comfortable with either scenario. I had my preferences, but I was very comfortable with either scenario.
Okay, we'll go to Mike, and then Chris Knight, and over to Wolfgang.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Brian, because of all this, you've had the chance to hang out with a true legend, and I'm not talking about Kevin Nealon. You've heard and read about Arnold Palmer your whole life, probably. What's been your impression of him versus maybe what you anticipated?
Yeah, well, I'll defend Kevin there a little bit. He is a legend in the comedy world. And having spent some time with him and gone to some of his shows, I understand why he is kind of a legend. But you're right. Even he would tell you that the real legend in the group is Arnold Palmer. Without question. Mr. Palmer's been great. I would have, I'm honored to have the opportunity to spend some time with him, right now. And I think that there's a sense of depth and wisdom, that he has about himself, because of his life experiences and what he's done and what he's accomplished and all those things, and because of where he's at in his life and his age, right? But I also, there's a part of me, and I think right now is a very special time to be with him in his life. There's also a part of me listening to some of his stories that I would love to have been around back in his heyday. He did galvanize, as the foundation name kind of represents, and I think a lot of people, today, and I certainly was one of them until I started to get to know Mr. Palmer. That there's a reason it's called Arnie's Army Foundation. I don't think many people kind of appreciate why that is. And he galvanized an army. He was America's kind of athlete. He was America's guy. He galvanized this massive group of people around him for so long. But he is a legend. He was a legend then, and he still is. And although he doesn't play, he hasn't been playing 18 holes lately, but he can still putt. We know that. Yeah. We had some putting and chipping competitions, and he just crushed all of us. There was a couple putts that we had set up for one of the shoots, and that no one even came close to making this putt. And we tried and tried and tried and tried, and then he steps up, and he's trying to remember his line, and they're going back and forth to get his line right. And then he just putts in every single one. I think it was like he made like 6 out of 7.
6 out of 7. That's right.
Just kept going in, and not a single other person could make this putt. It's like a 30-foot putt, and that's when we realized, well, he still got it. So it was. It's been a great experience, and it's an honor to drive Arnie's Army's car.
All right, we'll go to Chris and wrap it up with Wolfgang.
Chris Knight, GetTrends.com. Brian, is there a defining moment where you've been a spokesperson for Blood Clots where you felt like you've made the most difference? Has it been someone come up to you, or a commercial you've done, or just a simple situation where you feel like you made the most difference?
I don't think there's like one scenario. I think there's a lot, I've had a lot of fans come up to me and tell me their stories and ask me questions. I always have to remind them I'm not a doctor. You're going to speak to your doctor and find out, what's right for you. But I am I do take the opportunity to raise awareness and tell them my story. And I think telling them, hearing my story, gives them some sense of comfort. And I think that's one thing that's great about the campaign is myself and Kevin Nealon and Mr. Palmer, now Chris Bosch, all kind of tell their own story, right? And they're all unique stories. They're all different, and that's the case with every single person's that's out there. Every person in this room, everybody's story is unique. Everybody's story is different. So I give them the opportunity to tell my story, and and I think my story really resonates with a lot of people because I'm young. I'm an athlete. I'm young. I mean, it's proof that this can happen to anyone. It's been a powerful moment. I've had a lot of people call me up. In some of the weirdest places, like friends that just call me up and say, hey, I'm on an airplane, or text me or call me when they land. My calf hurts and it's swollen and it's red. I'm like, well, you should go see a doctor. Did you not listen to the campaign? And but there's unquestionably been moments where it's made a difference, and I've seen those moments, and it's a very special feeling. It really is.
All right, we'll wrap up with Wolfgang.
Brian, for your long-term future in motor racing, also looking into the possibility to go back to sports cars again. And a question to Mr. Jablonski. Can you give some more details? What can cause blood clots? Is it maybe eating wrong food, drinking too much alcohol? What's the risk to getting blood clots?
The answer is yes. I am open to racing everything that has a seat, four wheels, and a steering wheel. If the opportunity presents itself, and I would absolutely go back to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I would absolutely go back to the WC Series. I would be open to racing anything. I love racing. I love being in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. I think it's one of the greatest forms of racing in the world. It's fun for the drivers. Everyone always talks about, but your cars don't have wings. And I'm like, yes, they don't. And they pass more, and they race side by side, and we get to bump each other. And it's fantastic form of racing. But there's also a lot of merit to the other stuff. I've had the opportunity to drive a lot of different cars and different series, and they're all amazing. I think in the racing community, it's funny is everyone in the racing community agrees that racing is one of the best forms of sports and most entertaining and fun and exciting for the drivers and the fans. Now, they all may debate which series they think is the best, but they all agree that all of them are great, and I would second that. So I'd love to be back in a sports car again, and anything else that comes along.
Mark?
So my first recommendation is to take care of your health. But as we know, even the healthiest people can get blood clots. Actually, the biggest risk for a blood clot is having had one before. The next is hospitalization and immobilization. So I'm not going to go. There's a laundry list, and there's a great opportunity if you go to stoptheclot.org. You can see it on there. Take care of yourself. Know the signs and the symptoms and what we've talked about today and all these stories that you've heard, because if you take care of yourself, you're going to be healthier to begin with, and if you know the signs and symptoms, you're going to get to the treatment, the innovative treatments that folks like Janssen and others are making to save your life. That's the time. Get to the treatment in time. If you don't like the story you're hearing from your doctor, ask the questions, be your own best advocate, and you're going to get to the treatments that are going to save your life.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate all the support you bring to NASCAR and this race in particular. And Brian, good to see you, even if you take every other weekend off. Thank you.